Check, check, check. Oh, yeah. I wonder. So I think this might be my favorite part of the album. Is like the very first actual song. Um, Hymn of the Elevator. Yeah. Hey everyone, or anyone. I decided that I've got a couple of different things going right now, and I've never really done this before. I've got my um, live stream going over on YouTube, and I've got the live thing here on Instagram, and I've got the Idée Fixe listening party for those of you that are joining me now, um, which is literally no one and everyone. Um, I have been working on remastering an album of mine called Idée Fixe. It's a album that I put out in 2014. It was actually technically the very first Waking Things album, but I have since um, just pulled the Waking Things name for a lot of different reasons. But I think the spirit of the album is that it is truly one of my albums, and I think at the end of the day that that feels really good to have that in my catalog. And obviously, I love Waking Things dearly, but this is something that now I can feel was and is a part of who I am. So 10 years ago, I put out this album, and it's not that the album was bad. It just wasn't to the standard that I thought that it was going to be. Long term, I thought it was going to be something a little more polished, but I think I went in with this mindset that it was going to be really stripped down, kind of punk. And then as I kept listening to it over and over and over, I just couldn't sit with it and accept that that was going to be the final product for those songs. I think the real kicker was that at the end of the day, I posted it on Reddit, and I got a lot of really good feedback. And again, remember, this is back in 2014, but I got a lot of really good feedback on a few different subreddits, and that made me feel really good. But then there was also this consensus that like this album is really good, but like imagine if it was like really good. And so that kind of stuck with me for a really long time. And there was this whole saga of procuring the stems and the master files for just to have them. I don't know if any other musicians are like this, but when you have, I maybe it's a control thing for me. I have a lot of music, and I have a lot of music. Here, let's turn this Wi-Fi off because that's going to keep messing with it. Maybe there we go. Okay, that should help. Yeah, so I had I sort of had this possessive thing about it where I need to be in control of these songs, and I finally got them from the guy that I recorded with, Sean Rodriguez, super nice guy, and he got me the files, and I had them in my possession. And then when I actually went on tour with Waking Things, the van got broken into, naturally, as that happens, um, and and they took the laptop that I had at the time, which I had one of those LaCie hard drives, those orange ones. You've probably seen them around, and all those files were gone. So I had to do this big back and forth thing of talking with Sean again to get the files, and so that was a whole saga and headache thing that happened. And finally, I got them. And I still wasn't quite sure how I was going to approach redoing this album, because we had everything recorded. We had vocals, the album was done for all intents and purposes. But when I finally got down to picking it apart, there was this issue of the drums being like kind of I guess the tone, however you want to say it. The performances were perfect. Cody McCann wonderful friend of mine and just an all around amazing person and really talented drummer, very creative. Um, it wasn't that. It was just, I think, the nature of the type of recording we were doing. Sean had kind of primarily been recording his dad's band and his band that he plays drums in with his dad. It's Eddie Rodriguez and the Volcanoes, I think, is the name of the group. A really awesome Tejano band. But when when Cody and I came into the studio, it was like, uh, hey, here's this punk rock metal prog emo album where everything is just like this huge wall of sound, and that was I think that was tough for him to, it was a good challenge for sure, but at the end of the day, the drums just didn't hit the way that we thought they were going to, at least in hindsight. And I think I really dropped the ball on the vocals too, because my performances were what they were, and I leaned on this idea. I'm like, well, I don't want to do a bunch of harmonies and stuff because then it'll sound like I'll never be able to recreate that live. And man, 10 years ago. So 26-year-old Chris, yeah. If I could go back and just, give him a little slap, that would be the time to do it. So anyway, I finally got a hold of these songs, and what I ended up doing was just kind of a ground up approach. I kept all of the guitars. I kept the bass because I tracked it with this like beautiful alembic bass that I borrowed from my friend Royce Thompson. If you aren't familiar, Royce Thompson is sort of the lead of this group called Belmez Faces. Really, you gotta check that out. Really amazing stuff. But the bass that he had loaned me, just this beautiful, beautiful bass, and so I didn't want to mess with that tone. The guitars, I was playing through my Gibson Nighthawk and my Mesa 525 Express, so the tone was all there for me. But there definitely could have been some sauce. So I started off by working on this record one song at a time. Again, I finally have this kind of home studio, and I was able to start like kind of piecemealing things. Oh wait, we got to listen to this real quick. If you're on Bandcamp, it's see if I can post the Bandcamp link. Hold on, let's see if I can do this. Hang with me while I super unprepared. This piano piece we're listening to. We'll get into this in a little bit, but let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna put in the comment here the link to the album listening party if anybody wants to listen to the music while if you haven't heard the album. It is on Spotify. It's on all the streaming services. So if you want to listen there, great. You can listen to it in your own time. But I'm doing like a little listening party over on Bandcamp right now. So where was I? Gosh. So I got all these symptoms. I'm piecemealing these songs together, and I finally got this home studio to put together so I can kind of work on it on my own pace. And I'm trying to remember what song I started with. Oh gosh, this is a really good one. This is The Collector. So I started with, gosh, it might have been Brother. Brother is, when we get there to that song, it's near kind of, I guess at this point it's almost like the middle of the album, or maybe like 3/4 of the way through. Originally was like the last full song on the album, back when I originally released it. But I started with that one because it's so dense. There's a lot of transitions, and there's a lot of cool parts in there, and I just wanted to, let's see if I can tackle the most difficult one in my mind, and really make this thing sing again. So I invested in a bunch of plugins. I got new instruments. And I told myself that I'm going to redo this entire song, and hopefully this whole album. But that was kind of the deciding factor of whether it was going to be worth it or not. And by the time I had finished, even with my own mix, I was, I think I was like, okay, this is happening. And that started probably about, I would have to go back and look, but I think I started in earnest in 2021 maybe. And that was let's see, I'm going to say hi. We've got two people. We've got who have joined the chat. I just waved at you. Hello. I'm doing it in real life too. Look at this. If you're just now joining, I've got a link in the chat there for the Bandcamp live stream of my album, Idée Fixe. I've been chatting about it here on the live stream. So to kind of pick back up where I was saying is I took that song, Brother, and just elevated it so much. And once I did, I was just, blew my mind. I'm like, okay, this is real. I can do this. And then I think I did a few more, and was at the time when I started really working on it in earnest. Oh, hello. I was playing in a band called The Early Warnings. And I was over at Homespun Audio in Ballard, Washington, with Sam Cook Stunts and the producer of their album, Justin Davis. And I think I said, perfect timing, speak of the devil, I just had, joined this band, The Early Warnings, and they were working on songs, and we were chatting about some things that Justin and Sam were working on, and I just kind of nudged Justin a little bit, and I was like, hey, I've got this track, would you mind taking a look at it? And he said, oh yeah, no problem. And it was The Collector, which we've kind of already passed by. That was the song that was just before this. If you guys are actually listening to me say all this stuff, thank you for listening. There's in the chat, if you scroll back up, is the link to the album listening stream. So if you want to hear the songs too. So we got to have that conversation, Justin and I, and he was super like, yeah, sure, whatever, super casual. And we set a date to go into his, to his little mixing session. And he took the song, and by the end of the session, I realized that I had to, that was it. There was, if you're a creative person, you'll know what this is like when you kind of catch that bug. Oh shit, now I have to do this. There's like, oh cool, this is fun, I'm working on this thing. And then there's like, if I don't work on this thing, I'm going to lose my mind. And that's what this became again for me 10 years later after the fact, which is so funny. The album is called Idée Fixe, and I can't think of a more apt name for this album. Idée fixe being a French phrase for obsession, fixated on an idea. And dear Lord, I am so fixated on this album, or had been, and I'm just incredibly excited to finally get to close that part of my life. I've been talking a lot, and I'm sure if anybody was curious, you can ask questions or whatever. I guess I'm just kind of doing this for posterity, for myself, to have some idea of the history and the what I feel like is one of my favorite albums, one that I've done, one of my best ones. But if you want to just join and listen, I'm all about that. And if you want to go to the the Bandcamp link there. You can join for the listening party. You can just listen online at your own pace on any of the streaming services. It's up everywhere. So if you're listening right now, we're on the track "Good Looks in a Fake Name," and yeah, ooh, it's got that good stuff. Somebody the other day said they thought it sounded like Muse, which is really cool. Dig that. I think the whole album is very much, of the time. I didn't put it out until 2014, but a lot of the songs I was writing all the way from like 2007 and forward. So it makes sense that I'm like drawing inspiration from all those like moments of my youth, anywhere from 16 to 19 years old, and just kind of like mashing them all together. That riff. Those gang vocals. That's Amit Amram. Amram. I'm such a jerk. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or not. Amit. If he ever watches this or if he's watching now, he I actually worked with him before I started working with Justin, and we the big thing. This is what really transformed the album was we kept all the guitars, we kept the bass, we kept the drum performances, but we MIDI. I don't know the actual technical term. If anybody knows, we MIDI mapped them. So on top, we triggered all of them, but did it in what was he using? He was using Cubase. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever DAW he was using, we went through and like every single tom, snare, bass, just really MIDI mapped them so we could draw them out and make them the best possible sound. And then I also, thank God, I went through and I redid all the vocals, top to bottom. If I was going to redo the album, then why would I, stop at just that? Because those vocal performances they're fine, whatever. But like, this is my best self, and I feel confident about saying that. So we're on a song called "The Great Detective" in regards to case number 168. Super wordy title. Which makes sense because it's like, oh yeah, remember emo? This track was directly inspired by Boxcar Racer. I Feel So, that single that they had when they first came out. Really solid track. In the history of the whole Idée Fixe thing, if you don't know, it's a big concept album. A la, Coheed, whatever. But I kind of took this idea, had been floating around in my head since it was like 16, 17 years old, about this hospital, this asylum for the criminally insane. And this young man who is going to visit his parents once a week. And his parents are locked up in the asylum. And this track is kind of like, for me, was the first one that I really made it work in the concept. And it's one of the patients that's in the asylum other than this guy's parents. He's this, serial killer, serial murderer, whatever. And he was basically taunting the detective in this story, saying, like, kind of catch me if you can kind of thing. And that's what this song is about, is this this like kind of cat and mouse between the detective and the murderer. It's a very dark story but it fits with the overall album too. So those 12 strings, 12 string octaves. Little tip the hat to Justin. We just messing around with guitars, and he's got this really cool 12 string at his studio, so had to put it in. There is so much to talk about with this album. I feel like I could keep going, and I probably have talked about it to death to anyone who knows me, but it's just, for me, it has so much history and so much. There's the concept, there's the original release, there's the through line of everything between then and now, and there's the whole history of re-recording and all that, and then and to now. So it's very dense. I feel like I'm maybe talking over the songs a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. I'm also doing the stream on YouTube, and I've got just the chat on the listening party as well. I'm gonna do a little chat to the Bandcamp real quick. I'm saying hello. Thank you for joining. Joining. Thank you for joining the listening party. Let me know if you have anything you want to chat about or have any thoughts about the songs. I tend to use a lot of exclamation marks. I feel like people, when I type it out, I'm like, I do the exclamation mark because I am that excited most of the time. I'm like, oh, thanks for joining! Exclamation! I go back, I edit, I self-censor. Here's another really beautiful piano piece, performed by Sam Cooke Stunts. He listened to the original piano performances that were literally just iPhone. God, I don't even remember what version iPhone it was. It was an older iPhone, like whatever version was out in 2013. And I recorded my friend Tim, who wrote these pieces, composed them, and I recorded them on my phone, and those are what ended up on the original album. But then I took him to Sam, and he's like, oh yeah, I can do that. And he just plinked them out. Took him like 10 seconds, so that was really nice. Beautiful, beautiful playing, Sam. Beautiful. This song, Shadows and Ready House Calls. It's got that like Johnny B. Good opening. Very, very Coheed ripoff. At least I think it is. I think I'm going to get my guitar. Oh. Okay. Don't mind the broken string. It's like... That's the one. Let me play that again, so if you didn't see it. Okay, so it's like G... Yeah, I like that riff. So when we redid this stuff, I think I got kind of sidetracked on the drum thing with Amit. We MIDI mapped all the drums, and I redid all those vocals, and that was a huge undertaking in itself. Um, Lots of really great sessions with Amit where I went in, and he's a wonderful producer, incredible producer. Oh, okay, I can hear that. Yeah, let me go on. Yeah, Amit's a really wonderful producer. He really, for me, what I felt was the strongest part of our collaboration on these was his coaching me in the vocal performances. Um, I'm not a trained vocalist by any stretch of the imagination, but I know when I'm like, oh, I hit the note, didn't hit the note, didn't, I want to do it, I want to do it again. But then it was really like finding the best takes, of course, but um, he was very effective, very efficient at like getting me to get that, like, oh, we need to work in it that way. It needs to do, let's do this, let's add this. Got a lot of this part. Lots of cool harmonies that we added in, a lot of really cool little vocal candy things. This album's a really good example of that, or this song. I'm sorry. Should I do a filter? Do you think that'll make people more excited? What is this? I've never really done this live thing on Instagram before. Let's see. Request to join. No. Okay. Invite to join. No. Questions? No questions yet. And then there's the option to report someone. No, I don't want to. Oh, maybe do I want to share a photo? Let's see if I have a copy of the album art in my phone still. The album artwork was done by none other than Waking Things bassist and Glass Cannon's bassist Brian Ray. Um, Bless him for being my friend and participating in my whatever it is that I'm doing. He's been super incredibly kind and patient with me to have a friend like that. The one that's so talented too artistically. I wish there was a way to like really repay him properly. And if Brian, if you see this, I have requested you to invoice me. I pay people, right? I think I do. We're going to pull up the artwork. I'm going to send it to myself, and then we're going to, it's really, love this art. And then I'll post it to my, this is the ballad of the album. This is a song called Diagnosis. I wrote it about my dad when he was diagnosed with cancer. And oof. Okay. I don't want to short change Amit at all here. He did the production and the string arrangement on this part coming up, originally done on violin by Garrett Reynolds. Amit and I worked on this piano bit together, and then I said, okay, I want you to have fun and like let's make this part really come to life. Oh yeah, super cinematic. Somebody said Goo Goo Dolls. I'm like, all right, fine, fine. All right, and then we're going to pull up the image, save. All right, so I'm pulling up the image right now. Manage, select more, boom, done. So there's the photo. There's the album cover. Idée Fixe. Very inspired by many things that I love, but that building, if you are in Seattle or from Seattle, you might recognize that building. That's the PacMed building, which was the visual inspiration for this album. A lot of nights spent driving back and forth from like South King County to Seattle and seeing that building just kind of sitting there on the hill and in the orange light, and we kind of played around with the coloring and turned it into something really, I think, is really creepy and cool, and I love it, especially considering the original album artwork was it's literally just black with white text, trying real hard, you know. Okay, if you're listening right now, this song. Okay, I'm saying, this song is the jam. Okay, so at this point, we're this far into the album, track 13. Oh boy. Yeah, this is the strap in. Almost a 6-minute track. Mm. If you're watching me right now, just sit here and bang my head. I've got the music coming out of my headphones. But you can join on the Idée Fixe listening party on Bandcamp. You can join me on YouTube. And we can chat about it however you want. I'm just going to sit back and listen for a minute. Let me know if you have any questions. One weren't there all along. Did Shadow come to speak again? I don't know about you, but I like to go hard, brother. Ooh, yeah. Brother. There's a knock at your door, don't beg. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Instagram, you should jump over and listen to the Bandcamp album listening party. It puts a lot more context to what's happening here. I'm listening to my newly released album, Idée Fixe. It's a concept album about a young man who is visiting his parents at an asylum for the criminally insane. And we're on the track number 13. It's called Brother. Forward. feel free to drop, some chat if you have any questions or you're just listening. That's great. Oh. Bam, 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 bam. Oh man, I wish Cody were here too, because hearing his parts again, but like fully actualized in the way that they are, the way that we redid them, it's like, ugh. Now listen closely. Ooh, I love that one. It's like Stank Face. That lead's new. Got to add that in. So tasty every time. So this is where the album originally ended, is this song. This track right here, again, is another track by Timothy Fredericks, composed and written by Tim, originally played by him on the original release, but this time around transcribed and performed and produced by Sam Cooke Stunts. Also, Justin Davis adding mixing and mastering and adding in the really sweet elevator noises that I did have on the original, but didn't have the original stems for that. So it's kind of nice to be able to do that again. So this is where the end of the album was. 14 tracks, and I thought that was a lot back then. Well, strap in. We got another 5 songs. Really glad I got to do these B-sides, Artist Illusion and Capgrog Illusion. They are, I don't know how else to put it, but they're like the most new metal songs I've ever done, and they've only ever been acoustic demos, and so getting to flesh them out fully has been so cool to hear them like exactly how I heard them in my head when I was a kid. We've got the incomparable Amberine Cheek singing with me. We're doing this really cool duet thing. Really love her voice. I said channel your inner Amy Lee. So if that's not of the time new metal-ish enough for you, I don't know what is. This one was tricky. I remember when I was working on this one, if you know me at all or any of the music that I do, I'm always working with or trying to collaborate with people, as many Seattle musicians or whatever as I can. And sometimes it'll be some random musician with a kind of like a 6 degrees of separation. But this one was tricky because I originally gave it to Damon Robert Fritz from the band Dead Electric, and he did a really cool job with his vocal part, and he even wrote. I gave him a co-writing credit on this song because he fleshed out the whole bridge section, which I really wasn't sure what I was going to do with it vocally, and he really drove it home. So I ended up using that on my performance. And then I had another singer, another female vocalist come in at one point, and we tried to have her on the part, and it was good, but it was just like it just wasn't what I was feeling, I guess is the best way to put it. It was hard to come this far with redoing the album and like settle. So and not that I don't want to use that word about her performance. It's just like I knew in my heart that it wasn't the right choice for the song, so I ended up going with Amberine. Right here. Got that beautiful drop-off bass. I'm sure every band has a novel's worth of story about albums that they really love and that they worked on that they could go on and talk about. And so that's what this is for me. I feel like I could write a whole novel about this whole thing. Feels really surreal. Mm. Gonna listen to this one again. Oh yeah. So these two tracks, Artist Illusion and Capgras Delusion, are the only two songs that Cody did not play the drums on. These drums were by a session drummer based out of South Africa. Maybe moved to England. I can't remember exactly. I think he's originally from South Africa. Glenn Wellman. Shout out to Glenn Wellman for being an incredible drummer. And he also played a lot of drums on my last solo records, Taking Off and Conceptual Baggage. So check those out too if you haven't heard them. Really great drums on there. I love Amberine's performance on this song. Little grit, little grit. It's giving Kill Switch Engage, in my opinion, kind of. You don't realize how bad of a farmer's tan I have until I see it in camera. Oh boy, it's white up there. Whoa. Instagram is a lot more forgiving, I think. The lighting, YouTube, oh no, it looks so white, so pale. A solo, Justin Davis coming through hot. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I love listening to shit like that. Mm. If you're just now joining, you got to scroll up. We're listening to the last bits of the album release party. Album listening party is what I'm doing tonight, is streaming my new album all the way from front to back. We're wrapping up track 16 right now, so out of 19. If you scroll up in the chat, you can see the link to the listening party on Bandcamp. There's only a few tracks left, but appreciate you stopping in and saying hi if you're checking things out. I've got a live stream going on YouTube, I've got a live stream going on Instagram, and then I've got the listening stream going on Bandcamp right now. Been talking about the history of the album, been talking about the all the way from conception all the way to recording and re-recording and all of it. So a lot of baggage here, but in the best way possible. Right now we're on track 17. It's called Dance on Fire. It's this was originally the epilogue of the album. It was just an acoustic track, really pretty, really simple melody. This was kind of in the concept, anyways. This was the song that established the motive for the insanity of it all, and I'd love to chat about the actual concept with anybody who wants to talk about it, but it's a lot, you know. It's like how invested do you want to get into some concept of an album, right? It takes a certain kind of person. You can just enjoy the music too, so that's good. Burn up, dance around. I'll drop the link for the listening party one more time. I'm going to pin that comment, actually. There we go. So if you're joining and you want to jump in on that, you can. Yeah, that's 26-year-old me. This song did not get redone. This is the original. So, yeah, this would have been 2013, 2014 when I recorded this. It's a long time ago. Different life. Now, you may be wondering, if you are on the Bandcamp live stream right now, the album listening party, uh, th- the song is done. But my bright idea when I was putting this out, again, this was supposed to be the last track of the album, the hidden track of the original release. And so I did this fun thing where I added a bunch of silence at the end of the track, and then you'll see if you're sticking around. I really appreciate it. There's only a couple songs left, and really, if you've made it this far, or if you're just joining now, thank you. Wow, it is quite the behemoth of an album. There's a lot of different styles. It's a lot of aggression, a lot of personal baggage tied up in this album. Everything from things from my childhood and things from my my old life. I think it's a nice way to put it. I don't really want to go into a lot of negative stuff. So, but that's what this album is. It's kind of a there it is. Yeah, bringing it back in. You know, if anybody ever really listens to this album, which some people have, I've gotten some really good feedback after posting it on Reddit again. Really, people bought the album, streamed the crap out of it on Spotify, so that's good. But I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to really explain like the lore, the concept with anyone. So I hope that someone hits me up about this, because there's so many little things in the album that are part of the story, beyond just the songs and the lyrics. So yeah, would love that. So another spicy copy here. This last track that's coming up with, what's that? You hear that? It's nothing. It's silence. Because again, taking inspiration from some of my favorite groups, this was directly, you'll hear it, directly ripping off a band that I love, or an album that I love, and their hidden track. If you know it, if you can guess it by hearing this hidden track when it comes up, hidden track, it takes a lot out of it when you have to say on streaming services hidden track in parentheses. Like, used to be nice just to like sit and listen to an album and then be surprised that there was a hidden track, but I did the best that I could, because it's very unlikely there will be a physical release of this album. So if you're just now joining, oh, there it is. If you know what I ripped this off from, please say something. If you're joining on live stream, Instagram or YouTube, there's a link to the album listening stream on Bandcamp. So feel free to join. We're right near the end. this piano, this honky tonk saloon piano, performed by Sam Cooke Stunts, as he did all the other piano stuff. Uh, but contrary. Gotta have something silly, one silly track. I'm silly, goddammit. So now we're on the very last track. This is the the true bonus track because it's the original acoustic demo of Brother. Um, Sitting at my old iMac computer in my apartment in SeaTac and like figuring out GarageBand for the first time. That riff, I don't care what anybody says. I love that riff. So if you're still sticking around, if I'm probably going to jump off after this live stream, but please, if you have anything you want to chat about, let me know. I left this. I put this one on as the bonus track, bonus content, whatever, because I actually like my vocal performance in this one. The other demos were not as solid, so. Oh, Justin Davis has joined the chat. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. You should have been here earlier because I've been doing nothing but talking you up the whole time. How could I not? As we're listening to a full album stream of Idée Fixe. So honored and so very, I feel privileged to be able to work with you. So thank you, Justin. Really appreciate your help and all the work we've done together. Can't wait to do more. Wow, 19 songs, and we're coming up in the last 4.5 minutes right here of 19 songs. So thanks so much for joining, everyone. You can find this album on Spotify, on YouTube, on all of your favorite streaming services. If those are not the ones, that's great. You can find it pretty much everywhere. It's on my Bandcamp. You can buy it if you want to support me. Album purchases are always great. You can own the album if you're the type of person that likes to have some sort of physical, or I should say, ownership. And you know what? If enough people buy this album digitally, I promise I'll put out a physical release. I don't know how I could do vinyl, but I imagine 19 songs on vinyl is probably like a triple vinyl album or something. I don't know. It's like, be hard to imagine, but who knows? If enough people buy it, then yeah, I'll do it. But one day at a time. You'll notice in this demo, if you were listening to Brother before the full version, this is where the demo kind of deviates. And I remember Cody and I really working through this part, deciding like this kind of like the song kind of dying down right here in energy was like, oh, it worked for the demo, but like as we were playing it, we just kind of kept just driving the whole time. So if you go back and listen to it, you will hear quite a bit different. Now I'm living a lie. You know, I would say that this album realistically might have marked like the beginning of my creative. I don't know. It's like it kind of kicked things off for me. I had put out a bunch of other music prior to this, and including one really great album from my first band in Seattle, The Vain Transparent. But this was like the first time I really felt like I was working on something that I had my hands in it, and it was so unapologetically me, uh, and it felt thought out, thoughtful, developed. Got about a minute left of this last song. Thank you again for everybody that stuck around and listened along and dropped in the chat, and I appreciate you guys. So many people to thank for this album. I've named a lot of them tonight. There's so many more I'm probably missing, but this means a lot to me that even if it's just a few of you guys popping in and saying hi, I really appreciate it. So thank you for sticking around and listening. Oh, it's that release. I send it back to the universe. It's done. Wow. I was having a conversation with my friend last night about, creative people in general, and I think the quote that we landed on was Hayao Miyazaki, the filmmaker, and he said, you have 10 as an artist, you probably have about 10 years of your best work. That's when in 10 years you'll have your best work. And seeing as how this album is 10 years old, I landed on this thought of it doesn't, the 10-year quote maybe isn't, that 10 years isn't linear. Maybe 1 year you do something really good, and then you do a couple of years where it's maybe not your best work, but it's still good. I think this album for me is definitely it's going to be included in my lifelong pursuit of creative expression, and music will be in my top. So thank you again, everybody, for popping in and saying hi. I appreciate you guys. All right. Have a good night. Bye.